And I guess if I have to eat this to live longer, I may consider dying a little bit earlier. Which I honestly never heard of is red yeast rice. So I researched a little bit. He is the most measured man in history. So he's basically measuring all of his blood parameters. So every supplement that he takes is based on his. Are Bryan Johnson's Blueprint Supplements actually worth it? I reviewed his brand new released supplements and rated it from a 1 out of 10 in terms of quality, dosage, price, and also taste. And at the end of the video, I will give you my honest advice if and when you should take Bryan Johnson's Blueprint stack. So let's get started. Welcome to this video. My name is Marvin, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm a health and performance coach for highly successful individuals and entrepreneurs. And a client of mine recently asked me if I can recommend the Blueprint supplement stack from Bryan Johnson. For those of you who don't know who Bryan Johnson is, basically he's an entrepreneur and multi-millionaire who sold his company and now dedicated himself into a health and longevity experiment. So he committed himself to avoid death and live forever. And he already achieved some really fascinating results. So for his age, he achieved being in the top 1% of speed of aging. So that means he's aging really slowly. Top 1% muscle mass and function. Top 1% inflammation, top 1% VO2 max, which is a key predictor for longevity, the top 1% of sleep, and overall a top 1% combined clinical marker. And for a health performance coach who is working with top 1% entrepreneurs, this is actually really worth it for me to review and have a close look on it. And after his massive blow up on YouTube, he released his own supplements. His purpose with that, at least that's what he's saying, is that he wants to make his approach accessible for everyone. For example, in one of his older videos, he reported that he's taking over 100 pills every day, which is for the most of the people not really practical to follow. So he decided to launch his own product, which cover basically the most important ingredients and nutrients from his Blueprint protocol. So let's have a closer look on his current offer. But first and foremost, and this is really important to consider throughout this entire video now, that Bryan Johnson is a vegan. So for example, let's have a closer look on the ingredients from the Nutty Pudding. So the biggest protein sources are pea protein and hemp seed protein. As I said, Bryan Johnson is a vegan, so he doesn't cover the basic protein sources like whey protein or milk protein. And this is something to keep in mind because we have a different composition of amino acids from plant-based proteins to meat or animal-based proteins. And that's also why we can say that covering all your proteins that you need just from a vegan diet can be quite challenging. So it makes sense to create a supplement or to purchase some additional supplement like a protein powder, which is based on pea protein, for example, or also rice protein. I have to admit that I'm a bigger fan of rice protein, not just because of the taste, but also because of the composition of the amino acids. It makes sense when you decide to purchase a vegan protein supplement that is the combination of different protein sources. For example, just purchasing a pea protein doesn't make so much sense because just the value of the amino acid composition is not so high. So in that case, it makes sense to combine pea protein and hemp seed protein. There we also have flaxseed, which is a source of fiber and therefore supports digestion. We have allulose, we have sunflower lecithin, and also cocoa powder. And something I have to say that this Nutty Pudding is not available anymore. So they changed it to the longevity protein, and they told on their website that they did it because of the cocoa powder. So they removed the cocoa powder simply because of the fact that cocoa also contains a little bit of caffeine. Per portion, it's about 1/4 to 1/3 of an espresso, which is not so high, but still taking this right before your sleep can make potential disruptions of your sleep. That's why they removed it and rebrand it, and now sell it as the longevity protein. So basically the longevity protein is almost the same as the Nutty Pudding, but just without the cocoa powder. We also have, and this is also really special for a protein supplement, we have organic Ceylon cinnamon, which can be also beneficial for blood sugar regulation. So one portion of this Nutty Pudding, it's 2 scoops, about 55 grams, offers 210 calories, from which are 26 grams of proteins, 14 grams of carbohydrates, but also 4 grams of dietary fiber. So that doesn't really count as carbohydrates because the body can't digest it. And the total fat is about 7 grams. I paid for one package 115 euros, which is right now pretty similar to dollars. So that means one portion cost me about €3.80. But we have to say one serving is not one meal because it's just 210 calories. For my body type and for my activity level, I'm 2 meters tall and weighing about 100 kilograms, which is about 200 pounds. It makes about 7% of my daily calorie intake. And for my body metrics and my specific goal, I need about 200 grams of proteins per day.
Must eat beef. Must the big guy I just met.
So, and this just offers me 26 grams of protein. So, to be honest, it's not really a meal, it's more a small snack. That's why, honestly, when you're over 160 pounds and you're doing a lot of sports, maybe you want to build muscle, then it's a really expensive idea to choose the Blueprint meals to include it in your diet on a regular basis. But let's now have a look on his real supplement. So he has a supplement bundle, which is called the Supplement Stack. It basically includes the longevity mix, the essential capsules, the essential soft gel, NAC, ginger and curcumin, and red yeast rice with odor-free garlic. And he recommends taking these in total 8 daily pills to cover all the essential nutrients and minerals. But before we talk about the ingredients and the specific dosages, let's talk about the biggest USP of the Blueprint supplements. And this is basically the quality of the sources from the ingredients. So he claims publicly that his supplements are completely free of toxins and heavy metals. So he includes the lab results from all of his supplements on his website. Now you're maybe asking, do other supplements have some toxins or heavy metals in it? Well, the answer is sometimes yes. For example, especially supplements like creatine or omega-3, it can contain various toxic metals, especially when you purchase them from various countries like China. So taking a closer look on the source of the product is most of the times really worth it, especially when it comes down to omega-3, to creatine, sometimes also to cocoa powder, can also contain a lot of toxic metals, as well as protein powders, because also they can contain some E. coli species and also salmonella species. So back to the Blueprint supplements. So yes, they have a good and clean quality, but what about the nutrients in? So let's have a look on his essential capsules. So right there, we have 50 micrograms of vitamin D, which is about 2,000 international units, which is compared to the most supplements really much. In a lot of these multivitamins, you have sometimes 500 IU, sometimes you have 800 IU, so 2000 IU is compared to that pretty high. But my issue with that is that it's still relatively low if you are vitamin D deficient. Vitamin D is highly individual. It depends on how much sun you get. It depends on what is your body type. Like if you are a more genetic southern body type or a northern body type, what is your skin color? So it's so individual. That's why it's so important to measure vitamin D on a regular basis and then choose a supplement which offers specific vitamin D so that you can adjust the dosage per day for you. Then it contains a lot of B vitamins. For example, vitamin B2, about 1.4 milligram, which is the equivalent of 4 ounces of beef. We have vitamin B3, 15 milligrams, which is about 3 ounces of chicken breast. Vitamin B6, 1.4 milligram, is about 1 large banana. Vitamin B9, 200 micrograms, which is about 1 cup of spinach. Vitamin B12, really important, 125 micrograms, which is about 5.5 ounces of cheese, and vitamin B7, which is 50 micrograms, which is about the equivalent of 2 large eggs. And there we have a huge point. It has a lot of vitamins that can be covered when you just include meat and animal-based products in your diet. So this is what I told you. Don't forget, Bryan Johnson is vegan. And this is one of the most critical points of a vegan diet, that most of the vegans are deficient in B vitamins. For example, a lack of vitamin B12 can lead to huge fatigue. But if you eat meat and eggs on a regular basis, a lack of B vitamins is in the fewest cases the biggest issue for you. So yes, especially as a vegan, it can be a good support and a good base of supplement, but it's definitely not a superhuman longevity supplement that will make you immortal. Now it gets interesting. Let's have a closer look on his longevity mix. So he recommends to take it additional to the essential capsules every day. So it has 250 milligrams of vitamin C and 150 milligrams of magnesium as citrate. For example, when you want to have a sleep enhancement, when you want to optimize your sleep, also magnesium can help you. This is why I recommend to most of my clients take magnesium, but then in a different form. I recommend taking a bisglycinate or magnesium threonate. This will have the most benefits for your sleep. But yes, when you take it, for example, in the morning with the longevity mix, then it makes sense to choose a citrate. There we have creatine, 2,500 milligrams, which is also, in my opinion, relatively low. So interestingly, he includes taurine, which is also known for being associated with longevity. But also, I recommend taking taurine in the evening because of the calming effect. Then we have, interestingly, glycine and L-theanine. Actually, two supplements which I'm a big fan of. But as I said, they also have a big calming effect. That's why if you decide to take it, I recommend to do it more in the evening. Especially L-theanine can help with stress management. Glycine can make you calm. And it also includes ashwagandha, a small dosage of ashwagandha also, which can have positive impacts on stress management, on sleep. So actually, I'm really excited about the ingredients from the longevity mix, but honestly, I would place the most things of them more later in the evening. And another problem, it doesn't allow you to be flexible. For example, when you want to experiment with ashwagandha, maybe a higher dosage, or maybe you want to remove ashwagandha because it also can have some disadvantages. You're not so flexible. And that's why I rather prefer an individual supplement approach where you take most of the things individually to be more flexible with your individual dosage. There we have another interesting supplement. We have the NAC with ginger and curcumin supplement. And this can help a lot with inflammation because NAC as well as ginger are really anti-inflammatory and are really antioxidants. So they fight the so-called free radicals. So free radicals can come from various lifestyle factors, such as, for example, pesticides. So when you consume some foods or vegetable, which contains some pesticides, also air pollution, when you live in a bigger city, for example, also toxic chemicals, which can sometimes include in, for example, shower gels or different beauty products, as well as, of course, smoking, alcohol, and fried food, such as trans fats. So from my view, if you take this supplement or if you take general curcumin, you won't feel immediate result. As soon as you're just taking it for prevention or for general longevity and you don't have some really inflammatory diseases. But as I said, it makes sense to consider when your general goal is longevity. Let's come to the last supplement of his supplement stack. And this is red yeast rice with odor-free garlic. So we know that garlic has numerous health benefits, such as prevention from cold, lower blood pressure, and also help with cholesterol levels. It's also documented that major civilizations, such as the old Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Chinese, the Indians, used garlic for medicine purpose. But there's one big problem with garlic that you basically smell when you eat it. So it might be a good choice before going to the sauna, when you want to have a little bit more space in the sauna. That's why you may consider taking a form of garlic supplement instead of eating garlic on a regular basis. Which I honestly never heard of is red yeast rice. So I researched a little bit, and it's also known from the Chinese medicine to lower, for example, cholesterol and improve blood circulation and digestion. And what's really interesting, it also contains some chemicals that are similar to prescription statin medications. And statin medications should protect, for example, blood vessels to lower cholesterol and therefore support longevity. So once again, when your primary goal is longevity and prevention, this may be an option for you to take. Let's come to the final judge and my overall rating for the Blueprint supplement stack. First of all, ingredients and dosage. And I will rate it at a 6 out of 10, simply because it's a similar approach to, for example, AG1, Athletic Greens. Just take this stack and basically everything is covered. But unfortunately, supplementation is not that simple because, let's face it, Bryan Johnson actually has got a pretty different approach. He is the most measured man in history. So he's basically measuring all of his blood parameters. So every supplement that he takes is based on his individual data. That's why, for example, I complete various blood testings with my clients at the beginning, just to make sure that we cover all of the missing nutrients and deficiencies. Second, quality. I rate it a 9 out of 10. So based on the things we see, the quality is really high. And they also took a lot of effort to showcase this with the lab test results. My only minor issue is, and that's why I don't give it 10 out of 10, is basically because of the protein powders. As I said, it's simply a fact that plant-based protein sources don't have the same value in terms of amino acid composition than, for example, animal-based products. So let's come to the price. I will rate the price 4 out of 10. The supplement stack costs about 222 euros per month, which is what I said, similar to dollars right now. But the problem is the chances are really high that there are more individual needs. So a lot of supplements will come on top. For example, magnesium. I recommend the most of my clients taking magnesium. In the longevity mix, we have a pretty low dosage of magnesium and not the magnesium which I recommend for sleep optimization, or vitamin D, as I gave the example with my client. So 222 euros just for a supplement stack is, in my opinion, really high. And also almost 4 euros for a simple snack, which gives you just about 26 grams of protein, is also really expensive. And lastly, for some products, for example, the Nutty Pudding, let's talk about the taste. So I would try it for you right now. So there we go. He recommends to mix it with some milk. He recommends also choosing a nut milk. So right now I have right here sugar-free almond milk. And I'm sure everyone can relate to this when the scoop is most of the time really on the bottom of the package. I just hate it. So we're going to take about 2 scoops of this. Then we're going to mix this together. And I guess until I finish squirting this, I already burned my 210 calories. So I finally finished. This is how it looks like. And I guess if I have to eat this to live longer, I may consider dying a little bit earlier. But honestly, from my point of view, especially for a vegan product, it tastes kind of good. So I will give it, from a taste perspective, an 8 out of 10. But of course, this is highly individual. So guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you like it. If you have different topics, products, supplement, what you want me to review, or want to hear my opinion, and if you have some questions, just hit it down in the comments below. And also, if you want to learn more about biohacking and advanced health optimization, then subscribe to that channel. That's it for today. See you soon.